We didn't plug back in. Might keep moving on the computer without it.
Hello. Alright, we should be back in business. It should be picking us up pretty well. Sounds like loud and clear.
I can't hear
Yep,
y'all.
a little too loud.
Hello? What's up, my boys?
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Can you hear us?
What's up? How are y'all doing? Brandon, what you doing?
What's up?
What's up, T?
What's good, man?
Y'all doing good so far, my boy?
I mean, it's tough to get it started, you know.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, shit. But once y'all get it going, that shit's gonna be popping.
Yeah, we just gotta get it started. So what's your take on this NFL playoff?
What's my take? Bro, the AFC is fucked right now because of what happened last week. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Don't want to get into too much detail, but and then here's my other take, bro. Giants, scary team, and so are the Lions, bro. Giants and Lions are the two most underrated teams going into this playoff push right now. I'm being 100% serious on that.
If it's the Packers, don't they?
Yeah, they have to be.
That's for the fucking. That's for it, right? Yeah, they need Seattle to lose too. Yeah, they do. Lions do. They need Seattle to lose. Seattle beat them.
Oh, Tyler, by the way, I'm with Lamberson, so if you hear that voice.
Yeah.
But no, bro, I mean, it's crazy, though, that they cancel a game over. I mean, yes, bro, somebody almost died on the field, but you didn't cancel a game for Shazier's fucking paralyzation, none of that other shit, bro. So it's like, how can you cancel that game?
I mean, it's like they took it into a different.
But how do you take that into a different perspective, bro? Like, you can't do that. Like, yes, bro.
I mean, he was basically dead.
Yeah, pull his ass off on a goddamn ambulance, bro. They did that shit back in the day. Motherfuckers, bro. Nobody, bro, in this day and age of the NFL would survive in the past years. Like Ray Lewis type shit, bro? No.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's really taking out risks.
No, I'm saying no, bro. Like hits, like back in the day, nobody's surviving hits, bro. If you're acting like he barely got tapped, I mean, I don't know, bro. But I'm finna go because I'm be pulling us to the casino. I'll hop back in this bitch in a little bit.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, we had that was a couple of interesting takes coming from with the Lions and Giants. The Lions and Giants being a scary contender. Again. With the Lions and Giants being a scary contender. We've had a couple of well, you might as well keep that. We're probably gonna have people join in. I can throw it on. We're back. Mic check.
Should be able to hear us loud and clear now.
Yeah, and then I know Pops jumped in here earlier with wanted to touch on the Vikings comment, and reach in here and give us a couple words. What do you think, Pops? What do you think? We're looking for a playoff picture. I invited you to speak. You can join.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I was just saying,
At Jefferson, he kind of got exposed. So he got exposed last week when you're gonna put up only one catch because you were double covered, triple covered. They were showing different schemes on him. At some points, he was triple covered actually. So I think that the jury's out, but I think he kind of got exposed this weekend. So I think we're gonna have a different outcome for him. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a tough call unless they can get somebody else to compliment him. And I don't think Thielen's that guy no more. And the only one who actually help him is I can't say the name. Hodgkinson.
Hawkinson.
There you go. So if TJ can't help him, there you go. That's a lot easier. I think that they're in trouble. So that's really where it's at. That having no second option really hurts everything. So
Yeah, and I guess my question for you would be, how many of those teams do you think can actually mock what Green Bay did? I mean, with Green Bay's secondary being so elite in coverage with Jair Alexander and all those other guys they got out there, I think they still got Adrian Amos. Who do you think can really mimic that?
I mean, Philly's going to definitely shut it down. It doesn't really, if that's a definite. I mean, their secondary is one of the best in the league, period. So I think Philly will shut them down easily. And then, I don't know, when you get into it a little bit further, you kind of got to look at the Cowboys could do it, but that just depends upon what Cowboys team shows up. So.
Yeah, and I mean the elephant in the room, like I said earlier, it's still got to be Kansas City, coming from the opposite side. Even if Jefferson and them can make a run through the NFC and get to the Super Bowl, I mean, who do you think stopping them from the AFC?
Okay, AFC, if Minnesota was to get there, oh geez, I mean, really, I think obviously Sauce Gardner is a monster for the Jets, but I don't think the Jets can go far enough. He's just a talent. But other than that, I really don't see anybody that's really that catchy that can stop it. Buffalo's really obviously got hurt this past, and so I think it's just really going to be a shootout at that point. It's going to be an Allen versus a Cousins, and we all know Cousins can really throw up a horrible game at times. So I don't know.
Yeah, we had Zach join in here, and he said the scary teams to watch for would be probably like sleeper teams would be Lions and the Giants. What do you think about that take?
I think that the Lions are they're a team playing with heart. I don't know about the talent as much. They're playing with heart. Sometimes heart overcomes talent. I think I've always said that in my coaching career. So end of the day, the Giants are a team that's held people down on points. So obviously you don't hear a lot about their secondary and defense that much because it's not talked about. But I think they definitely do have what it takes to keep scoring down. Now, keeping Justin Jefferson down is a totally different thing. I mean, Justin Jefferson can throw up 200 yards, but that doesn't mean he scores on any of them. So that's what that kind of would tell me, maybe get a field goal out of it when they get to the 2 and they get stopped. So that's my thought.
I mean, I still think the Giants could be scary. Coming in with Kenny Galladay, healthy Saquon Barkley. I think they got everything they need to piece together. I mean, Julian Love out of Notre Dame, he's having one hell of a year. He has a couple picks, doing his thing up there in the secondary. But I think one of the interesting topics I want to touch on that comes along with the Bears having Justin Fields practically sit out of this game with a random injury that kind of just appeared. I feel like we didn't really have it. I mean, we had minor news on it, but he was playing through it in the last couple games to break that record. I mean, what do you think was going through the coaching staff's mind and like the upper management office when coming to deciding to sit Justin out and start Nathan Peterman?
The future. I mean, there's a good chance if Houston wins this weekend and the Bears lose, they're the number 1 pick of the draft. They get the number 1 pick of the draft. Who wants to trade into it? Probably Houston. Probably a team. I mean, there's numerous teams that are going to throw draft picks. What do the Bears need to do? Rebuild. They're in a rebuild process. They're going to get picks. They're going to trade picks. Maybe they even get top players. I mean, there's been names floated around, and I think we all kind of know who those are. I mean, you got – I don't think Vegas is doing very good. So, I think we have to look at Devontae Adams. We have to look at D-Hop. Those players aren't happy. And players are going to push to be traded. And who doesn't want to play with the hottest quarterback in the NFL? Justin Fields. He's the hottest. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He's going to even get better in his third year. So I think it's just about rebuild. Justin knew what they were doing. They parked him because they had to park him. Because if they do have a chance to lose, that's them throwing the game. That's what they're doing. They're throwing the game to give it to, for Houston to mess up. So I think that's really where it's at, getting draft picks. I mean, if you get the draft picks, you're going to get them anyway at the number 2 pick. But number 1 pick is just totally different on what you can get offered. So I think that's where it's at this moment. That's what the coaches decided. I don't think it was just coaching. It was the general manager and ownership. So
what do you think about them looking in the next 2 years? They said that they don't think Justin would last that long, and they're thinking about drafting CJ.
I think at the end of the day, everybody has to look at how smart Justin Fields is. I mean, he's learning from getting beat up this whole year behind that line that's suspect. And I think that at the end of the day, he's going to understand that you can't do what Lamar does, right? Lamar Jackson has been beat up. He's been out for 6 weeks with a knee injury. He's had numerous injuries throughout his career. Now, if this is a real injury and it's actually hips, Justin has been hurt, obviously, throughout the year. I don't think that's the type of season he thought he was going to have. And I don't think that that's something that he's going to want to do. So he's going to have to learn to drop back and pass. I don't think they're going to do anything as far as going to get a quarterback. I think that's all false narrative as far as what people think. The guy's too smart, and he lives healthy. So I think that when you live healthy, you work out healthy, you're going to have a lot of good things that happen, and he's very smart. So I think the defenses might catch on to it, but if they can get some O-line help, Justin Fields will be the best quarterback, probably top 5 quarterback next year, and that's being a bold statement. But I honestly think that's possible if they can get some receiver help and definitely offensive line. So I think everybody's kind of – the jury's out, so to speak. I don't think there's any definitive.
Yeah, and I think arguably, I mean, if we're looking at Justin Fields' talent aspect and being good for the next couple of years, I mean, we're looking probably well into a couple more years if he can maintain his health and be able to put up the same numbers he's putting up, if not more, with the proper wide receiving core and O-line. I really think the McCaskies need to get it together and put some money into the free agency this year and pick up some of the big names out there.
With the highest cap space, they should. I mean, they have the number 1 cap space. There's no reason not to spend money. This is the time now, more than ever, to spend it, right? So, I mean, if anybody can fail free agency, though, it would be the Chicago Bears. They've done it for numerous years. So I think that's kind of what we have to look at, I mean, new stadium coming down the road here in Arlington. I think there's a lot of pressure with the money. I think there's a lot of pressure with everything, but cap is cap. So that money is already ready to be spent. So I think we just have to – it's a wait-and-see game, but I think they will figure out a way to either screw it up or they might actually do it right this time, but I don't know. We'll see. They did lose their vice president, too, so losing their vice president, getting a new one, was needed for a long time. So I think that's going to be a positive for them as well.
Yeah, I think it will be a positive having a new president. There's been a couple of interesting takes with the Bears possibly, like you said, diving into a trade with for Devontae Adams, possibly for a pick. So I guess we'll see how this draft pans out and see where we can go from here. But I mean, if we're gonna jump to the next topic now, and we're gonna go over to some college football. And kind of touch on TCU versus Georgia coming up here on Monday. The TCU is the underdog going into the national championship. I mean, we're looking at a really healthy Georgia team looking good coming off a win, and possibly being another year where they're going to dominate college football and kind of took over the spectrum from, Alabama and kind of made it their scene now. I mean, Georgia's doing their thing. But what do you think, Tyler? What do you think the outcome is looking like for TCU against Georgia?
I'm hoping TCU comes out on top. I mean, obviously we know what Georgia's capable of, but they barely beat Ohio State by them missing a field goal, which, by the way, was literally timed up perfectly with the ball drop.
And at that being 20 yards off the field goal post.
Yes, 20 yards to the left. So, I mean, they barely won. TCU won by at least a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see TCU winning. It's going to be a hard fight. But, I mean, there's also a very, very, very good chance of Georgia repeating because Georgia's just a really unstoppable team the past 2 years. So,
And I think we're going to see a really interesting quarterback matchup coming with that game with Max Duggan and Stetson Bennett. I mean, Stetson Bennett's like old for a college football player, and Max Duggan has an ego and he's ready to play some football. So I think we're going to have a real interesting matchup. And I also have been very impressed with TCU's defense. TCU's defense has been putting up some stats.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Even their special teams unit. I mean, they're doing their job all around. They're playing great football. I think, I mean, on ESPN they got them at a 72.9% chance for Georgia to win. I think I'm going to take that 27.1% chance that TCU is going to lock up Georgia and come out with the win. I think we're looking at it's going to be a high scoring affair to a point. I mean, I think we're looking in the 30s, 35, probably like 28 finish.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like TCU's ever up there, so I mean, I want them to win. It would be cool to see them win. It would be their first time since 1939 Sugar Bowl. That was the last natty that they won.
Yeah.
I mean, they've appeared in some, but they haven't really won any. So it'd be cool to see them win over Georgia just because Georgia's always in there, always in the top talk. So
Yeah, and I mean, what do you think after college? I mean, what do we think the future's looking like for Stetson Bennett, who's no longer has any college eligibility? I don't believe.
I mean, I guess we'll see. That's all we
Yeah,
can.
I mean, I could see him going second, third round probably. I don't think he's a first round talent.
I might give him fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
If not, maybe undrafted.
Yeah, I really don't think he's that good of a talent. I think he's had the right players around him and been able to kind of just do his own little Tom Brady remake and kind of just hit those little dink and dunks to the playmakers and let them do their thing. I mean, McIntosh has that game against Ohio State, I believe, was very, very tough matched. I mean, McIntosh split that defense right up the middle for a touchdown, I think twice.
Yeah.
But I think we're looking for a very interesting Monday night with that game. With that being said, kind of want to roll into the Peyton Hillis conversation. He's in critical condition after saving his children from drowning.
Yeah. Crazy.
What a dad, huh?
A man.
I mean,
That's a man.
yeah. I mean, he was the one-hit wonder in the NFL and did his thing, and now he's saving lives.
Yeah, his own kids at that. That's the best thing you could do, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, as a dad, I mean, I think your heart goes out to him, and really hope for a strong recovery for him being in critical condition. I mean, he probably has all type of water in his lungs and stuff like that. Because I mean, going through that, your adrenaline's doing everything. It's not really your adrenaline instincts. It's fight or flight. You gotta just do what you gotta do.
Yeah, we just gotta everybody keep their prayers for him. Make sure he has a lot of support behind him. Because I mean, it's a crazy thing to do, but you gotta do what you gotta do as a dad to save your kids. Make sure everybody's healthy.
I mean, Pops, are you in here?
Yeah, I'm in here.
Yeah. What do you think about that Peyton Hillis situation?
I think it's heroic, you know. I mean, we had a player the other day obviously drop on the field with a heart condition, and the whole world circled around him, behind him, to which we all should. It was on national television. This is something in private that happens, and dads do it every day. It's not just Peyton Hillis, but there's a lot of dads that will put their life on the line for their children. And I think it's admirable, and everybody needs to definitely keep them in or him in their prayers. But also, fun fact about him is he was on the cover of the 2012 Madden. That was kind of a cool thing, obviously, for him. So he did have some moments in his career where he shined, and there was years before that, before he even hit it, that he was doing a really good job. So I think, anytime a man has to step into a role, and it's always the role of dad, obviously, when you put that title on and have children, but you have a responsibility, and he fulfilled that, right? So, big props to him, and I think that he has he's got angels over him, trust, because, you aren't going to lose your life that way when you are doing something that is that positive, I don't think. So, and look at what what we just dealt with. DeMar, he had plenty of children he took care of and with his foundation, and look at the money that it's raised. So people need to look at Peyton Hillis the same way. And, if he has something out there, I don't know if he does, make sure it's legit, obviously. But if he does, people should be donating to that. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, from I mean, as of 4 hours ago, I mean, we have an update that Peyton Hillis is, he's making progress and coming back from doing so. They're saying he's doing better. Shouts out to him, and hopefully he can circum those conditions that he's put into saving his kids out there in Pensacola, Florida. It's a big step. We're also gonna flip that into the possibility of. I mean, I kind of want to touch on the Browns a little bit more, and spin into the whole Deshaun Watson being back. How do you feel about that, T?
Oh, Deshaun Watson. Not much to say about him, but he's not the greatest quarterback. He's never was the best quarterback in my eyes. I don't think he was worth a first-round draft pick. I don't think he's worth keeping on the team, possibly cutting him.
I think that's a weird take. It's a bold take, because I mean, if you look back at Deshaun Watson back with the Texans, I mean, he was shaping that team out to be what it is. I mean, since him and D-Hop left, I mean, look what the team's turned into. Imagine him with a healthy, Damian Pierce and all them, and having Brandon Cook still, D-Hop. I mean, they're going to be putting up numbers if they're there.
If he wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't be where he was. So, I mean, that's my take. I think he's stupid. He's not smart. And I think he needs to rethink his decisions.
I mean, but if we're looking at Deshaun Watson we're not looking at him as a convict. We're looking at him as a player. I mean, I think we're looking at him talent-wise. I think at the time, I mean, we drafted Mitch Trubisky over Watson. I mean,
I would have too. You would have lost him for years.
Mitch Trubisky's over there losing his starting job to Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett's a really good quarterback. For his age, he's really good.
Kenny Pickett's
He's
like a Nathan Peterman 2.0.
Nathan Peterman. Not close. Kenny Pickett's pretty good. He's a respectable quarterback. I don't think he's terrible. But as a Ravens fan, I hate him because I think he's dog water. But
I mean, Deshaun played in 5 games this year? I mean, he had close to 900 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 picks. I mean, his QBR is not looking good, but I mean, for what he had to deal with and, serving that suspension for a lengthy period of time, I mean, how do you think he bounces back from this? Because I don't think the Browns are going to release him. I think they're looking to ride with him.
I mean, it's probably not a bad idea, too. It's just like, it's pretty much like another Tyrod Taylor, per se. He's not the best quarterback, but he'll do. So, I mean, he'll do for now until they have their option at another quarterback.
Right.
If they get that option this offseason, I don't see him starting next year.
I mean, weird take here, but I'm just saying, I mean, the Colts are probably looking to draft a quarterback here in this draft, but if the Browns do intend on releasing Deshaun after this season, which I doubt they do because they picked him up. But I mean, if they do intend on getting rid of him, I mean, I could see him landed in Indianapolis.
It's not a bad take. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him there. It would probably make him look a lot better just due to the fact that he has a better team around him.
Right.
Hey, can I
Yeah.
chime in? So
Yeah.
you're talking about a quarterback that got paid $250 million. He's staying in Cleveland. He ain't going nowhere. So that's not going to happen. So I think that end of the day, they're stuck. They made their bed. They lie in it, right? They got rid of Baker. Baker's successful over in L.A. And he's doing great. I mean, he has a team around him. But what you guys keep saying is Deshaun Watson had a team around him. I mean, that's really where it's at. He had D-Hop. Look at Kyler Murray. When he didn't have D-Hop, how good was he? He was all right. But he wasn't doing what he did last season when he had Kyler Murray. I'm sorry.
Even with D-Hop this year, I mean, he still wasn't nothing.
No, I mean, he only got to play one game with him, and then he was hurt. So that's the whole point. But or 2 games maybe at the most. But that's that. It's just you have to look at it from a perspective. He needs to be surrounded with pieces. And I don't think that he has that element when you're talking about having Amari Cooper is your number one. He's not a number one no more. He's getting older, so he's probably like a number 2. They need to get somebody over there that can actually tear it up. Peoples Jones is okay. I mean, who's that tight end?
David Njoku.
Njoku, there you go. He's hit and miss because he's always hurt. So I think you got to look at it from perspective. I mean, when you are surrounded with pieces, how good can you be? You know what I'm saying? And pieces are what matter. So I think right now you're looking at a quarterback that is in transition. He didn't have a preseason, so he's 5 games in. So he hits 3 or 4 games. The first 3 or 4 games is his preseason. That's what it is. So you got 1 full game of seeing what he actually is. I don't know the stats particularly on what he did last game, but I don't think he was rocking the pages off the water or off the books right now. So I think we have to take a step back, kind of wait, and that's what Cleveland's going to do. They're not going to move on from him because if they did, they signed him to a 6-year, $250 million contract. I'm pretty sure they have to eat like $180 million of that if they trade him away. So I don't think they're going to do that.
I think Deshaun is. I mean, not even Deshaun, but Cleveland. I think they're strongly relying on the run game with Nick Chubb being in the backfield. They're not banking on Deshaun to be that big time playmaker he used to be. Just probably due to him not being in shape yet this year, and being into full swing. I mean, their last game they played Washington, and he went 9 for 18 for 169 and 3 touchdowns. But obviously their defense is doing most of that work probably to put them in that scenario that they're being put in. And I mean, Nick Chubb is a workhorse. I mean, arguably the best running back in the NFL this year, putting up big numbers. But I think that Deshaun Watson situation will pan out probably in his favor. I mean, obviously financially and hopefully with the rebuilding, with that young defense they have over there, minus Jadeveon Clowney, obviously. But I kind of want to turn tides here and go to a different sport, jump away from football, and we're going to jump into some baseball here. We got Carlos Correa. I mean, as a Braves fan over here, we got him. The Mets very interested in Carlos Correa. I mean, the Braves are going to have some real competition if they get Correa over there in New York. What do you think about that, T?
Well, last time I checked, the Mets were a little frustrated with him, saying how they were going to walk away. But then I also saw another update saying that they're highly likely to get him. So, I mean, the Mets would be pretty dangerous with him on that team. So,
I mean, what do you think we're looking at contract numbers here? I mean, you think he's going to get almost like a Devers kind of contract where it's going to be huge, or?
I think it's 5-10 years, probably like $350.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. I think we're looking about 10 years, $300 million. Yeah. Bare minimum. If they're going to sign him, I I mean, the Mets. I mean, they've always had the cap room to be able to put money into good players and possibly even pitching. I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Correa is going to be a very good pickup for them.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no guarantee that he'll go there. If he decides to choose somewhere else, such as the Braves or anywhere else, because I saw the Braves were also in the top 3 talk along with the Dodgers and the Mets. So if he goes to any of those teams, it would be a great pickup for all of them.
Yeah, and about 3 hours ago, I mean, we have out of L.A. I mean, we got the Dodgers cutting Trevor Bauer, getting him out the team.
I mean,
he was fine. I think he was fighting that domestic charges still.
Yeah, I mean, when you got cases like that going against
sexual assault. Sexual assault, I'm reading that now.
When you got cases like that going against you, it's a little hard to get out of. It's a sticky situation, so I mean.
Sergio's in here. What do you think about that, Serge? I think you're a Dodgers fan, if I remember correctly.
Sergio in baseball. He's probably on the game watching. I also saw that. I don't want to mess up the name, so let me go ahead and pull it up because I had looked it up a second ago.
Hey, so while you guys have a little bit of dead air, I guess I'll take up a little bit of it. But Correa, the Twins are showing interest right now because they had him last season. So I think right now that you have $350 million that's on the table, and you have a player that hasn't played can't even finish a season for the last 3 seasons. I don't think he's been over 80 games, maybe 100 at most the last 3 seasons. So I think you have a player that's not durable. He's failed 2 physicals with the Mets and the Dodgers. So I kind of think that you're getting a liability. If somebody can't finish the season, I think the Braves are kind of out because the luxury tax, they're not going to pay that. They're already kind of in it, and they don't want to even pay that. So if they were going to do that, they probably would have signed Dansby, because Dansby is defensively way better than Correa, but as far as offensively, not. Correa is way better. So it's an offset to a point. So they went with their younger talent. But I would honestly think the Twins would probably be a good landing spot because they know what they're getting. They know they're going to get a half a season. But with that being said, I think he's going to get half the contract. Somebody's going to sign him to like a 4-year, maybe 150, 100. You might get that 175 like Dansby. I don't think you're getting – I think his number for 350 is unrealistic at this point. If he could be durable for a season, if somebody's going to give it to him, it's going to be back-end loaded. And it's going to have stipulations saying, hey, you have to complete however many seasons to get that amount. So I think that's where that's at.
I mean, but if he lands in New York, I mean, that's going to raise hell for the Braves. I mean, you guys are going to have some real competition on your hands. I mean, you guys have had a rivalry with them for the last couple of years in your division.
We've had that for couple 2-3 years now, and every single time the Braves seem to prevail, right? Won a World Series, won the division last year because they choked. I mean, they're talking about, Bauer could go to the Braves, and what's there to lose? It was actually the rumor today, and I'd take him. I mean, he's already served his suspension, so as long as he doesn't do anything bad, I think the Braves have always harnessed their pitchers, and they have a good pitching coach, so I think that's a heck of a fit.
You guys are picking up all the sexual assault victims over there. Picked up the Pirates one too.
And then we got Ozuna too. So I mean, we do what we have to do, right? But so end of the day, I think whatever wins baseball, right? It's about the game. It ain't about what happens in their personal life, and that's kind of what this is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see that hard. I don't know if you see that, but I feel like players are treated as, I would say they're more likely to get out of situations when they're put in them legally, just due to the fact that, that they're celebrities essentially, and they can kind of just pay off everything. I mean, when you got that much money, you really don't have anything to worry about. I mean, money talks, so.
Yeah, that,
What was that story?
All right, so I found that story I was looking for. It was about Justin Turner being picked up by the Red Sox wearing number 2, which is Xander Bogaerts' number, and that's his hometown. So they're saying that Red Sox fans might not like that he's wearing that number, and they're going to
But
be a little irritated with it.
Do you think that's because they don't think he can do what Xander did?
I mean, he probably won't be able to. He's just probably going to be on the bench for Heat, if I think so myself.
I mean, he's a well-rounded player. I think that it would be hard to put him not in your starting lineup, especially to pair with somebody like Devers if he lands over there. But I think there's going to be a weird twist of events probably here in the near future with what teams are going to be good and what teams aren't in the MLB just because of all these players bouncing around everywhere. I mean, Dansby landing in Chicago. And, you know, just kind of everything that's being put together by the MLB. I mean, all these players aren't where they used to be. Obviously, you still have the Braves that are going to be very good. You got, hopefully, I'd like to see the White Sox bounce back after having a poor year. And I really would like to see the Tigers do something over there and possibly even make a playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be hard for them. Angels are still really good. Dodgers. Cubs are probably going to be scary next year. There's a lot of good teams out there picking up good players.
Yeah, and I heard that the Reds actually made a move today that might not work out in their favor financially. I mean, they released Mike Moustakas, and they still have to owe him $22 million.
Yeah, I saw that. I think you might as well let him finish and pay him the rest of his money for his time. Because at that point, you're just cutting someone when you could just move him to a different level if he's not performing well or if it's for other reasons. But you might as well let the man finish his time.
Yeah. And about that, I think it was at like noon today. I don't know if you saw that, but the Brewers, Milwaukee Brewers clubhouse actually got robbed. Like somebody broke in, stole a bunch of stuff.
Got to have better security.
I mean, do you think? I think that's got to be a precautionary thing. Where, I mean, you gotta take measures to protect these players. I mean, if anybody can just walk in there and kind of just do whatever they want and tear the stadium up, I mean, obviously people are gonna think there was some sort of mistake and something was left unlocked.
It's a security issue, is what it is. It's a really security issue. I think they should have pins on the door. I think they should have it locked at all times. Make sure everybody's stuff is safe in there.
Yeah. And another interesting thing coming out of the World Baseball Classic. I mean, we got Ohtani, we got Darvish, we got Suzuki. They're all going to play for Japan.
Scary team. Anywhere with Shohei's nasty. Some would call him the two-way Japanese import, and that's what I would say. He's a nasty. Really good.
Yeah, I think they could really do some damage out there. I mean, Latin America obviously always has the best teams. I mean, you got Javi, you got Vlad, you got, you know what I mean, you got Acuna, you got everybody out there all playing for these Latin American teams. They kind of take that World Baseball Classic over. And I think that's being held in Tokyo. I'm not sure, but I think it might be.
I'm sure that team will still win, but I mean, it's still scary to see them have all those guys, all three of those people on Japan's team. It's going to be nice to watch.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks signing Longoria. He's kind of old, but I feel like he is anyway. I feel like he's been around forever. I feel like them signing Longoria, putting him next to with Kettle and all of them. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a very average pickup, very mid. I mean, he used to be really good when I used to watch baseball. I mean, you know, I'm not the biggest baseball guy, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's 37 years old. I mean, he's a 15-year vet. I think they might have a problem with him being able to stay healthy.
I think a
He's
big
probably
signing.
coming up on the end of his career.
what do you guys think about Hosmer going to the Cubs?
Hosmer.
Yeah, he went to the Cubs, and you got Bellinger, and you got Dansby with that young lineup. I mean, they might have lost Contreras, but if you look at their lineup, it's pretty rounded as far as that. But their pitching's still very bleh. But offensively, I think they're gonna be really good. Hosmer going to the Cubs with Belly and Swanson, I think that could be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean Chicago forked out a lot of money. It looks like Chicago. I mean, value wise, I mean they have some of the biggest cap room in sports, just based out of Chicago alone. I don't know. I mean, that's just them being smart with their money.
I think the only good part about all those pickups is that you get a 2-hour drive to go watch Dansby instead of going all the way to Atlanta. That's the best part of it.
I think Tyler, that's probably pretty accurate. Even though I would never cheer for the Cubs ever, I'll go watch them when the Braves are beating them. So that'll be.
And while you're in here, Pops, what do you? I don't know if you've been keeping up with the weird news going on lately in China. They claim to have the first created monkey-human hybrid. What in the hell are we getting into here?
No, I think that's probably, we used to call Tyler that. And so I think they're kind of behind the times. I think America had that way in advance. That was like a 2001 creation. So, yeah.
I would agree, Sam. China does need a shot. They're kind of creating everything they fucking want. I mean, they're having what? Humans have sex with chimps? Are we serious right now?
I mean, I'm sure they're not doing all that. They're probably just injecting them with it, making them, get pregnant with the monkey. Probably a human having a monkey out of them.
Or doing the gene crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that with babies nowadays even. I mean, you got people being able to kind of like build your own baby. They can mess with the genes, and I mean, it's very expensive, but you can kind of have a surgical procedure done where they can mess with the baby and how they grow and how they function.
I mean, first they start this coronavirus, and now they're making monkey humans, so.
Yeah, and I mean, they're having another coronavirus outbreak as we speak. I mean, they're burning bodies in the street because I mean, funeral homes can't keep taking them in. I mean, they're going to get overflowed.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the U.S. as a whole has done very well with keeping this corona situation down. I mean, obviously, we've had very little outbreaks as of late, and I think potentially COVID could probably go away.
Yeah. I mean, we're at the very end of it. I mean, I saw that there was something about COVID popping up on the news earlier, which I don't know why it's still relevant. We all know that it's around and it's probably not going to be gone forever at any point in time soon.
Right.
If not, oh well, I mean, I think COVID's fake. I think people get it, but I don't get it. So, I mean, there has to be something wrong with the people that are getting affected. It's usually people with pre-existing health problems.
Yeah. I mean, I myself had it 3 times tested. I mean, they could have been false positive. Could have just been a cold or a flu.
But you also have those pre-existing health problems, such as asthma and all that stuff. I don't have any of it. I never caught COVID, so COVID's probably scared of me. And that's all I got to say about COVID.
Yeah. I mean, we had a very interesting 2022. I mean, from 2019 to 2022, I mean, it's been a very big difference in going from being trapped in your home to kind of being able to go back to living a normal life now. And I'm glad to see sports being able to have fans. It's just a great atmosphere to be back in because every stadium's twice as loud now. Every stadium has, more and more fans appearing. And I mean, you might not have the elderly that come through, but I mean, at the end of the day, we got our sports back.
And man, if you listen to that FIFA World Cup crowd, that might have been the loudest crowd I've probably ever heard.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go see that one day.
Yeah. I mean, they're coming to America next. So, I mean, we're going to probably have one down in Indy. There's going to be some down in Atlanta. There's going to be held in Canada. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting time here in about 4 years, roughly. So, I mean, we're going to have a great World Cup host, I hope. I'm going to plan on being there. getting into the soccer world here. Been kind of diving in a little bit more and being able to, try to learn the game a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say on a soccer note, seeing that the fans in Argentina, 4 million fans for a celebration. 4 million. Can you imagine that? People hanging off of buildings and everything else just to see their team. We've never had a sports team in this whole country that has seen that. So soccer has a following. It might not be here in America. I don't think you're going to see 4 million people doing that in any of our cities. But
I mean, if USA brings one back, I mean, you never know what could happen in America. I mean, we get pretty wild out here. I mean, look at Buffalo.
that is very.
So I mean, America's home of the beer. We take down beer. We make beer here.
Well, they better have a soccer thing up in Green Bay then.
I mean, and I mean, even in Argentina, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but I mean, they were at Messi's front door. They were waiting outside his house. He couldn't even get into his driveway.
I also saw that there was about maybe 200, 300, 500 people outside of his grandma's house cheering for him right after they won. And I think that's kind of scary, but it's cool.
It's scary, but I feel like countries outside of the U.S., they're not as violent when they do things like that. Like they're kind of all mellowed out. They're all there for the same purpose, just to cheer on things or like their team. I mean, I think in the soccer world, we got great talent coming up. I mean, with Mbappe and all of them like that, young players just striving to come up. I mean, I think his name's like, what's his name?
Which one?
The left wing, Salah. Yeah, I mean he's like pretty good. Yeah, I think the soccer world is going to be real cool when it comes to America and North America in general, because it's going to be held in Canada. I'm gonna assume probably Mexico a little bit. So, but we're gonna wrap it up here today. It was a great first podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for chiming in, Pops, and Zach was in here earlier. We appreciate it, and we will be live again possibly tomorrow.